Breakfast and brilliant ideas, coffee and conversation, we're serving up that and much more at IBJ Media's events. Join us at an upcoming event and kickstart your day with fresh ideas and new connections. Check out our event lineup and register now at ibj.com/RSVP. Whether your ROI is dollar signs or hot meals across the globe, JDA is your full-service marketing partner to help you achieve your long-term goals. Learn more at jdaworldwide.com. Empowering the extraordinary.
I would define success as, one's ability to perpetuate the good, find the good. And I think back to as I'm rising up in my career, who am I uplifting at the same time? Who am I bringing with me? And this is personally and professionally. So if you think about Visit Indy, I want my colleagues to succeed. I need them to succeed.
Hi, I'm Dave Neff, host of Talent Scout. On this show, we shine a light on Indiana's next generation of leaders who are making a difference in business, community, and civic life. These are real conversations about purpose, mentorship, and building a future that matters. Join me as we invest in leadership that lasts. Welcome back to another episode of Talent Scout. I am thrilled today to have my guest, Morgan Snyder, the Vice President of Communications and Community Relations with Visit Indy. Morgan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Appreciate you having me.
And I love the jacket that you're rocking. I mean, Indy 500, fresh off an incredible month of May, home field, local company, putting that out.
Yes.
So you came on brand today. Thanks.
I am on brand. Yeah. I mean, still in race mode, right?
Yeah.
All month of May. This is for you.
Yeah.
500
thank
Festival.
You. Thank you. 500 Festival. Yeah, we had a great month as well. Fun to experience everything from this side of the events.
I'm sure. Well, great
but
work.
Good to catch our breath a little bit. So, well, this show's about you. So we're going to talk about your story. And I want you, before we get into the great work you're doing at Visit Indy, let's go way back to the beginning. Tell us about your childhood, because I know you're not from Indiana originally. You weren't born here and you didn't live here really until college. So tell us about those early years, 0 to 18, where you grew up, what it was like, your family.
Okay. I was born in Oswego, New York.
Okay.
So you might say I'm a New Yorker, but and by the age of 5, I was in Kentucky, living in Kentucky. So right outside of Louisville, Oldham County, Kentucky, which in Oldham County, we say it by county and not town. So you're going to hear Oldham County, Kentucky, which I might also say that is 17 miles upriver for those that aren't aware. You cross the bridge, 17 miles, you're in Oldham County. So that's where I went, elementary school, middle school, high school. Incredible childhood. I love it. My parents are still there. I try to go back as much as I can. And my parents are still in the house I grew up in. Yeah. And it's fond childhood memories. I mean, I'm 41 years old. I'll say that. And,
me too.
So there you go. Yeah. So I don't know, 80s, 90s influenced by New Kids on the Block and Rainbow Bride and Smurfs, Doogie Howser. What's not to love about our childhood days?
We are. We're the geriatric millennials, and we got to grow up. I remember in high school, isn't that when like Instant Messenger came out?
Yes.
So that was
I do remember that.
Largely we were, off the grid, the digital grid, and just figuring it out around the neighborhood and with friends. And so
I do remember in elementary school, though, being able to check out from the library the massive like MS-DOS computer that you could bring home for a week at school, and the floppy disk drive, and your first foray into typing on a computer.
Yeah. My 7th grade keyboarding class, I still think might have been the greatest class I ever took, because I put that to use every day.
Yes, we're still using that 7th
words
grade
per
class.
minute. I'm just like, you learn a lot in school, but learning how to type was probably one of my more critical skills that gets used every day. So, well, I do know a little bit about Oldham County. My sister-in-law lives there with her family, and my wife grew up in Louisville. So totally understand the area that you're talking about. My in-laws live in Prospect.
Yes, there
Kentucky.
you go, right down the road.
So yeah, what from those Louisville days? You talked about your family. What were you into as a kid? Did you play sports? Was it theater? Was it just school? Was it other things? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. I wouldn't say I've ever really had the athletic ability needed to play type of sports. But I was a kid that was always outside, and I love that, and I try to preach that now as a mom, but get outside and just go, riding bikes around the neighborhood. We had such a good neighborhood group, and I'd come home from school and be gone until the dinner bell rang. Truly, my mom would go out on the back deck and ring the dinner bell, and that's how we knew to come home, right? Or anybody that knows me in my childhood, there was a gully that ran, which is really another term for a stream in our backyard, a creek, if you will, in our backyard. And we would be down in that creek all the time, playing house or school. In my basement, I had a makeshift classroom where I loved to be the bossy older sister and have my sister be the student and teach class, like with real classroom school books and a real chalkboard. It even had a real projector, like the old projectors that had the white screen that you'd pull down, and we'd play classroom. So, I look back on my childhood so fondly, and I always just hope that my kids are having as wonderful as a childhood as I got to experience.
Now, just one younger sister?
One younger sister, 5 years younger. She lives in Bowling Green, Kentucky. So she went to Western Kentucky, which, if you think about it, my parents are smack dab in the middle in Louisville. I came 2 hours north to go to Indy. My sister's 2 hours south in Bowling Green, Kentucky. But I am on a massive campaign to get my parents to move to Indianapolis.
I love it. Well, that's kind of in the job description,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Visit, move to Indy. Why not? Well, accelerating a little bit. So you have this great childhood in Louisville, Kentucky, middle school, high school years. Tell us the story of how you land at Butler University. And I swear to the listeners out there, I'm not just only having Butler grads on, but I feel like I've been on a string of Butler grads lately, but they've all been great. So we've got another one with us today. Yeah, how did you make the decision to leave Louisville and come to Butler University?
So you're in high school. I was actually on the dance team in high school. So there's some, athletic ability there. Dance team, but what I was really proud of was yearbook. I was the yearbook editor my high school senior year. And so I was also big time collecting all of the pamphlets and programs that colleges were sending, almost kind of like, how do we turn our yearbook into like a college book? But I received Butler University's college admissions program book, their brochure, and on the top of it, it literally said, one of the country's most romantic campuses, U.S. News, World and Report. And I'm like, okay, that sounds great. And my dad grew up in Greencastle, Indiana. So that's, home of DePaul University, which he was pretty keen on me looking at that school, but also just very fond of Indiana as a state and his home state. And so it clicked, and we went up to look at Butler. I actually only looked at one other school, which was Xavier in Cincinnati. So it was between Xavier and Butler, and it really proved to be one of the most romantic campuses in the country, because that's where I met my husband. It all worked out.
Yeah. Well, so you come to Butler off of some great direct mail marketing.
Exactly. It works.
Advertising. What were those 4 years like when you were at Butler? What did you get involved in? I believe you studied journalism. Is that right?
I studied journalism, yeah. Yes, you were talking to one of the nerdiest Butler University fans and alumni. I cannot speak highly enough of what those 4 years meant to me and did for me. And just forever grateful of that experience. So came on to campus as a journalism major, studied integrated communications, which is a mix of public relations and advertising. I had a minor in Spanish, which it's on the paper for graduation, but I cannot speak Spanish like I wish I could. Was a Theta, so joined Kappa Alpha Theta, something I didn't think I would do. I came into Butler saying I'm not going to go Greek life, but then you get exposed to just the great things and the energy and the vibrancy that brings to campus. So got involved in Kappa Alpha Theta, met some incredible friends there, and had 4 internships along the way that really exposed me to this city and really aligned the career path I wanted to take.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Did you, when you came to Butler, were you kind of open-minded on where you might go post-Butler? Did you think you'd end up back in Louisville, or?
I did. So my senior year internship was actually Visit Indy, so where I am now.
Mm-hmm.
Indianapolis Convention and Visitors Association is actually what it was called in 2007. And I did love that. There wasn't a job opening at the time there, so I was thinking I would go back to Louisville. But I was also applying for jobs in Indy, and I was open to both. I had fallen in love with this city over the course of the past 4 years and made great friends and network here. So I was open to both. And I'm just so glad my path kept me in Indy.
So talk to us about I believe you went to go work for, was it Hirons right out of undergrad?
Yes.
So how did that advertising agency with a rich history here in the city, how did that opportunity come about? What was the work like in that first gig out of school?
So when Visit Indy didn't have a position open in PR and marketing, they actually had a sales position open, and I considered taking it, but I had just studied 4 years of journalism and PR, and I knew that's what I wanted to do. And so I put my name out there. I actually sat at the Starbucks on Monument Circle at the time, and every hour on the hour had people that I was meeting with to be like, "Hey, free agent here. I'm looking for a job." Treated them to a cup of coffee, trying to figure out what my next path would be. And then the position came open with Hirons, and it worked out so perfectly. Their client at the time was the Indiana Office of Tourism Development, or what we know as Visit Indiana.
Yeah.
Now, so whereas Visit Indy represents the city from a tourism perspective, you have Visit Indiana trying to bring visitors into the state. And Hirons was charged with doing the advertising campaign for state tourism. So it, in my mind, was the perfect fit in the sense that I have fallen in love with this industry of tourism and hospitality, and this first job will keep me within that industry.
That's great. So you work on a tourism account on the agency side, and you were just there for about a year, right?
I was there for a year.
Yeah, but then you joined this, new luxury hotel, the Conrad, shortly, I think it opened in 2006, right? So this was shortly after it opened. How did that opportunity come about? What'd you learn working, for a property versus like at, an organization like Visit Indy? Yeah, just being behind the scenes there.
So the job opening came up at Conrad, and I wasn't really looking. My boss now, currently at Visit Indy, said, "You should go check this out. I think you'd really enjoy it." I went over there to the Conrad to meet the team, and I said, "Let's just do coffee. Let's not do an interview yet." It turned into a 3-hour interview, but I left that day thinking how cool this place is, and the people, and the true care of hospitality and service. I mean, that's a luxury hotel, and they had, every employee at that hotel had what was called a credo card that you had to have on your body at all times, but it was principles of service and hospitality, and they breathed that mantra in every move that they make throughout their day. And I loved that level of hospitality and service and helping others, and I was sold. And so I came over and worked for the Conrad Hotel doing their PR and marketing for 3 years.
Wow. So they were those, would you call them credo cards?
Credo cards.
It was all kind of reinforcing their culture and what they wanted their staff members to display when it came to hospitality for guests.
Absolutely. No matter who you are in that hotel, from the general manager to any level, if there is a piece of trash on the floor, you pick it up and you get rid of it. Or use of name heavily. Anytime you can use guest names, we study guest names, use of name. As little as, when you're directing somebody down the hall, don't point, use your whole hand. It just very simple ways of approaching.
So a lot of those
luxury.
stuck with you, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
When it reminds me, when I was with Exact Target in 2011 to 14, I feel like as they scaled, they did a phenomenal job at just instilling the core values into existing and new employees. Things that I still think about today, like think like an owner, be easy to do business with, like things that just sort of permeated the culture. So that's really cool. So spent almost 3 years at the Conrad, right? Then Visit Indy comes calling.
They did.
And, you've been there now for 15 years, but this was 15 years ago. So talk to us about, I know you've done an internship there, so maybe this was sort of a dream spot to get back to. Just how did those pieces come together?
It was. The opportunity came open at Visit Indy and, well, again, at that time still called Indianapolis Convention and Visitors Association. But this is where I met the hospitality industry. I love the people. I love the mission. And there are so many people at Visit Indy that are still there today that were there when I was an intern. So it's a great place to work when you have that longevity of staff and that passion amongst team members. So I had always wanted to get back there. I don't know that I was 100% ready at that time to jump to Visit Indy, because I've always said, if I'm still walking into work and I am enjoying what I'm doing and I'm still being challenged and I'm still being learning, then this is a great spot for me. There were still a lot of hurdles I needed to cross at Conrad I still felt like I had more I could do there and more to learn. But at the same time, this is where I wanted to be in the long run. And I knew that this was my moment to jump over, again, because of the longevity of team members. And this was the role I wanted. So joined the team, no regrets, best decision ever, 15 years later. It's wonderful.
Well, let's back up a little bit. I know just my experiences, I'm very familiar with what Visit Indy is and what they do. But for those that aren't as familiar, can you just break it down very simply and explain the role of Visit Indy and its purpose in the city?
Sure. I mean, we say we're the official sales and marketing arm for the city of Indianapolis, and our mission is essentially what our name is, Visit Indy, and that is to get people to visit Indy, because when people come into this city, they spend money here, and it brings an economic impact into the city. It employs thousands of people in hospitality, so the more people we're bringing into Indy, the person that works the front desk at the hotel has more hours in a job, or a restaurant server at a restaurant has the ability to put food on their table because of this job. So it's a very important industry to continue to bring people into Indy. And it really looks like two types of travelers. One might be a leisure traveler. They want to come to Indianapolis for fun and have a weekend getaway, or it might be a convention goer. So if you're in the city and you see the lanyards, chances are that was a Visit Indy booking where we are enticing conventions to come into the city, meet and convene in Indianapolis.
Or the stormtroopers walking around.
Or the stormtroopers, which would be
Gen Con.
Gen Con, the beloved Gen Con. So our annual convention every year. That's right around the corner, really.
Yeah. That's great. Well, tell us a little bit more. So as of January 1st, you received a promotion. Congratulations to Vice President of Communications and Community Relations. So maybe just tell us a little bit more about your portfolio now. You've been there 15 years, full-time. You've clearly grown your responsibilities. What all does this new role entail, and what are you touching on a day-to-day basis?
Sure. It's essentially the messages that we are putting out on behalf of the city to meeting planners or to potential leisure visitors. Most of that is done through the lens of media. So having the opportunity to work alongside media who have the power of the pen to tell a story about Indianapolis. And I need to make sure that the story they're telling is a favorable one. Or if there's an initiative to enhance our trail system in the city, which, by the way, has been done and we're working on, but telling the story of Indy as a cycling tourism destination, or if we're moving the needle a lot in our culinary tourism, which we are. We just announced Michelin's coming to Indianapolis. Yeah. So telling the story of what's going on in our restaurant scene. So what are people saying about Indianapolis? And that is my job.
Can you explain, so Michelin star restaurants, right? When you say Michelin is coming to Indianapolis, break that down. Because Michelin itself is not a restaurant, but they star certain restaurants. So they have deemed Indianapolis worthy that we might have a restaurant or two or it's going to be a new restaurant that's not here yet. Like, explain that to people that don't quite understand that.
Sure. So Michelin is it's the Oscars of the food world, essentially. So if you are aligned with a Michelin review, which might look like a 1-star, 2-star, or 3-star, or a Michelin recommend, or the other one is a Bib Gourmand. There's several categories within Michelin that a restaurant can achieve. So what Michelin has done recently has said, we've, on the back end, been looking at Indianapolis and our restaurant scene, and we do believe that there are restaurants in this city that qualify for a Michelin recognition, which is incredible for Indianapolis, because there is data that shows people will travel for Michelin restaurants. And that's part of our job, right? If somebody sees a Michelin restaurant and that moves the needle and making them want to come to Indianapolis for a weekend getaway, that's the story we need to tell. So Michelin is essentially in the city as we speak, undercover. We don't know what restaurants they're at, how often they'll be going there, and nobody knows who they are. And they will go back, visit these restaurants numerous times throughout the course of the year. And then next year, we will understand if any of our restaurants have received Michelin recognition. And when they do, we will message that to anyone and everyone that is listening to say, come to Indy and try Michelin-level restaurants.
That's fascinating. So what would be, obviously Chicago would have, I would assume, Michelin restaurants. Like, does Louisville, does Columbus?
So Louisville does not have Michelin-rated restaurants. But there are, several cities around the country, a lot of the big cities that you know. We are in the running right now with several other Midwest cities that will also could receive Michelin recognition. So we're working with Detroit, Minneapolis, Pittsburgh, Milwaukee, Cincinnati, and Indianapolis, who could be some of the new cities on the map, on the Michelin map, to receive these ratings.
So all those cities you just listed don't have one today, but Michelin's out kind of secret shopping, so to speak, trying to,
Yes. And internationally, Michelin is heavily recognized. Michelin started in France and, went all across Europe. So from an international traveler, it holds even that much more importance. So hopefully that helps move the needle.
That you demystified that for me, because I was familiar with what a Michelin restaurant was. I didn't quite understand all the hype and do we actually have a restaurant? Do we not? So that was very helpful. I appreciate you explaining that. And I feel like I've heard the number when you talk about all the jobs that the hospitality and tourism space creates. Isn't it around 80,000? Is that right? Still around that number?
Correct,
so 80,000 jobs annually that Visit Indy's touching through the hotels and restaurants downtown, which is pretty remarkable.
Yeah, and I saw that firsthand. That is what, at the end of the day, when I walk into work, when it was at the Conrad or when it was at Visit Indy, to me, that is the most important stat for why I love the job that I do, because these are really important jobs. And I saw it firsthand at the Conrad when you have people of varying levels of management or line-level hospitality employees. They truly depend, many of the people in that hotel and in our hotels truly depend on those shifts and those hours to put food on the table every night. And that's why we have to continue doing the job we do, so that those hotels are full, the restaurants are full, and these people have a full-time, can make full-time living wage off of it.
Thanks for joining us here on Talent Scout. We're going to take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, so stay tuned. Whether your ROI is dollar signs or hot meals across the globe, JDA is the agency built for you. Purpose-driven brands trust JDA for branding, creative campaigns, press releases, web development, digital strategy, and paid media solutions. From fundraising initiatives to driving revenue growth, the right partner puts your organization in front of the right people at the right time. Learn more at jdaworldwide.com. Empowering the extraordinary. So you must have started when the JW was under construction, right? Because it opened just in time for that 2012 Super Bowl, from what I recall. And maybe put you on the spot a little bit. There's quite a few new hotels, right, going up right now downtown.
Fun.
So maybe fill us in for those that aren't downtown every day. I mean, there's some serious momentum with some new properties coming online.
Yes. I mean, when you say Indianapolis is an ascending city, just look in the sky and the cranes will prove it. So we have about $3 billion of new tourism infrastructure underway in the city. A good chunk of that is in the hotel world. So at the end of the year, we'll open up the Signia by Hilton Hotel, 800-room. That's the mass. I mean, that's changing the city skyline.
That looks awesome. Yeah, I was driving up from the south side yesterday and pointed it to my wife. I'm like, look at that. It's already changed the skyline.
It's a game changer. And from a convention perspective, it opens up so much more opportunity to be able to layer in big conventions in the city, because we'll have the room capacity to do that. We announced a Ritz-Carlton that will come on board 2028. You see a Kimpton that's underway in downtown Indy that will come on soon. A Motto is coming on soon. You've been out to the airport, the Westin.
Yes.
that hotel looks stunning. And I mean, you'll be able to have the roof deck to see the planes and the airfield go by. And so that'll open up, I think, end of 2027, December 2027. So incredible hotel property. Intercontinental that recently opened. Yes. We're doing really well, especially in the luxury, higher-end hotel space, which we drastically needed in the city.
Yeah, well, that's really exciting. Do you have a favorite conference or event that Visit Indy has hosted in your 15 years, or maybe a top 2 or 3?
Yeah, because that's a really hard question. We have hosted so many incredible events in the city, and we will continue to do so. Blink Reaction, this probably is one very unexpected. Because, if you think about college football playoffs, we have done numerous Final Fours, the NBA All-Star. A couple come to mind. Try to be succinct about it, but I've loved them all in very different ways. When we hosted American Ninja Warrior in this city, we hosted them twice, 2016 and 2018.
Yeah.
And our office got the opportunity to work with their producers to say, we can do this. In downtown Indianapolis, we can shut down Monument Circle for 10 days, which when we proposed that, there was an audible gasp in this city. But you have to think about how you're going to do that, because you do have businesses trying to move people in and out. You had the symphony orchestra that have concerts across that whole time. You have the Columbia Club that has valet operating off of Monument Circle. But we brought in a crew of 100 people on their production team, shut down the circle for 10 days, worked with all the businesses, even like the math and logistics of, they have pools that they have to put on their course. And so it's 30,000 gallons of water.
Wow.
And to do the math of, can Monument Circle actually hold the weight of 30,000 pounds of water on the circle? I remember sitting there speaking to several officials in the city to see if we really could viably do this. But to pull that off was so fun. And then to see Indianapolis on primetime television, 8 million viewers tuning in to watch American Ninja Warrior with the beautiful Soldiers and Sailors Monument in the background. To me, that was a marketing value that is, I mean, how do you put money to, how do you assess the ROI in that? I don't know, but it is, for anybody that still believes there's corn growing in downtown Indy, which we still have, that proved otherwise. So I think that was a big feat. I loved the opportunity to snag the National Confectioner Association's conference, Sweets and Snacks from Chicago.
During COVID, right?
During COVID. We hosted them in 2021 because Chicago was still not hosting any conventions. And Sweets and Snacks had convened in Chicago for 25 years. This was their home for this massive 17,000 person convention, 1,000 exhibitors, 90 countries represented within this convention. And I was able to be a part of the pitch team to go in and say, here's why you need to move your conference home to Indianapolis from Chicago. And when we got the bid, it was the biggest dose of dopamine, right? I mean, and so now we have them in the city through 2032, I believe, and to see that convention come in every year and work with their team. And then I'm going to give you one more.
Okay.
I'm still going.
Let's go.
WNBA All-Star. I had the opportunity to be the PR committee chair for that. And I just think the vibrancy of downtown Indy during that week for a sport centered around female athletes was so fulfilling to me, and to be able to work on that. And also a lot of the ancillary things that happen around big sporting events that the community doesn't always get to know about. We always do a basketball court rehab in the city, a legacy. And then, we did some restoration of some kitchens and community centers because of the work that comes into the city for the WNBA All-Star. So the legacy projects, being really in tune with some of those. And then the work we did with the Komen Tissue Bank. I don't know that people realize that Indy is home to the world's only tissue bank that takes healthy breast tissue, studies them, and compares healthy breast tissue to cancerous breast tissue. I mean, Indy could someday be the epicenter of a breast cancer cure because of that tissue bank.
I did not know that. Learned something new today. Yeah.
And so we had the opportunity to as part of the committee, and we did an all call for females in the city to donate healthy breast tissue. And so I got to be a part of that. And it was a really unique opportunity to talk about the work that's done in Indianapolis and marry it with the WNBA and all the incredible momentum that's there.
That's cool. I had forgotten about the American Ninja Warrior and that they came
I know,
twice.
2016.
Now I'm like, I've got some images going through my head, and I may have even come downtown, not for the actual taping, but seeing all it's set up and staged around Monument Circle. So
I did attempt the warp wall, and that is in one of those file folders of never to be seen.
You got out on the course, actually. Wow.
I didn't do like the where you're doing like the jungle gym type of course, but I did run up the warp wall.
That's great. That's hilarious.
Unsuccessfully.
I'm going to find that film somewhere. Well, on the flip side, anytime you're bringing large crowds to a city of guests, right, there's always challenges that can arise. Sometimes maybe self-induced by other things happening in the city, but I'm sure during your 15 years, there's been a challenging moment or two. What's maybe one thing that's stood out the most in those 15 years of like, man, this was really difficult, but we got through it and we're better for it?
I think back on 2015, which was that was when Mike Pence was governor at the time, and signed a bill for Religious Freedom Restoration Act, our RFRA, as we all referred to it here. And initially it was meant to protect religious freedom and the practice of religious freedom. But what we saw was a national backlash in questioning the integrity of Indy as a welcoming city, and maybe more so the freedom to discriminate. And so, no matter what side I fell on that, all of a sudden Indianapolis was in the national spotlight with people questioning Hoosier hospitality. And we work in an industry where that is what our brand has been built on. I mean, we are a welcoming city, and that is seen time and time again with Indianapolis playing as host city to all of these major sporting events and major conventions. And so when that was put into question in major media outlets, we had to go to work. Because we had, corporations were calling and saying, we don't want to conduct business here. And conventions were calling and saying, we don't want to bring our thousands of delegates to the city if there's an opportunity for our attendees to feel unwelcome. And
it's crazy how quickly that happened too, right? It was like, I seem to recall Mark Benioff maybe being involved because I had recently left ExactTarget, Salesforce had bought, and
they were
that time
very
obviously
vocal.
he has a huge platform, still does, and I remember him being a loud voice. Even doesn't live here, but it just bought the largest tech company in town, and so it seemed to just snowball like overnight.
It did.
So,
but what also happened overnight is probably in my 15 years there one of the proudest moments I have ever seen for this city, and that is the ability to rally around our true beliefs in that Indy welcomes all. All are welcome here. And so you saw banners go up, you saw signage at the airport, you saw people wearing T-shirts overnight that said Indy welcomes all. Restaurants put up signs that said Indy welcomes all. And so the ability to rally around, our true beliefs as a welcoming host city was really impressive. And it just felt so good. Also timely. I don't know that everyone knows this, but we also rolled out the Indy Y sculptures in April of that year. And many might think that it was in response to RFRA, but coincidentally, we had these big Indy Y sculptures that were ready to go out across the city where you stand and be the eye for Indy, and we placed them around the city, and you saw people wearing their Indy Welcomes All t-shirt and standing to be the eye and posting proudly, love Indy. And
that was already in motion.
It was already in motion.
Oh, wow.
It was already in motion, but it really it worked in our favor timing wise.
Well, I just remember seeing Chris Gall, I think your now boss, just posting about that. You guys did do a tremendous job just sort of overnight combating sort of the negative narrative that had so quickly emerged.
Really led by Chris too. And the Indy Y sculptures that's a brainchild of Chris Gall. And they are, when he thought of that, we thought we'd roll it out for a year or two. And here we are, 10 plus years later, still seeing so many pictures posted with the Indy Ys.
That's cool. Well, lots more I could ask you on Visit Indy, but that's a great flyover. I want to talk a little bit here about your civic involvement. I mean, you're like me in that you work for an organization that's at the center of a lot of these civic conversations, but you even make time in addition to having 2 young kids and being married to serving on some boards, right? Which I think Indianapolis has a unique history of just volunteerism and set by our forefathers and mothers of, we're expected to serve on school boards and other organizations like that to give back. And I think that's a hallmark of our community. And so you are on the Benjamin Harrison Presidential Site Board, the Cabaret Board, Butler University's College of Communication Dean Advisory Board. How do you choose, where to invest your time outside of family and Visit Indy?
Mm-hmm. Well, you have to be passionate about it. You have to believe in it, and you have to see, I think, the opportunity to move the needle. And I don't want to sign up for something if I'm not going to be able to really give it my time, energy, effort, because I want to be all in. Mm-hmm. So Benjamin Harrison Presidential Site was a unique opportunity for me, and it's an attraction that is in the neighborhood I have spent the bulk of my post-college career living. And so I live here in Morton now, but spent several years living in Old Northside. Mm-hmm. And so to be surrounded by the presidential site and not at the time not knowing what that meant for the neighborhood, I was like, there's an opportunity here to really connect the site with the neighborhood and be a part of some of the larger programs that are hosted there. I mean, it's an incredible landmark to understand the history and Indiana's only sitting president. But what that organization does in the realm of civil rights conversations, civic conversations, they're the site of a naturalization ceremony. They're a voting center. I recently had the opportunity to do an off-the-record panel moderating where we bring in Hoosiers that have ties to the White House. And this theme of this year's event happened to be around freedom of the press, which is a very hot topic right now. So to be able to bring people together and have those open dialogues and conversations about the current state is really important. And the Benjamin Harrison Presidential Site allows for those opportunities, and I'm passionate about that. The Cabaret, I mean, truly, I'm just obsessed with that art form. It is. If you've never been to the Cabaret, which I don't know that you have, Dave.
I haven't.
Okay.
I need to get there.
Yeah, we've now given you
Tell
homework.
us about the art form. What is the art form at the Cabaret?
So it's a very intimate setting. The stage is beautiful. It's a stunning facility. Right off of Penn, downtown near the library. Mm-hmm. And there's really 3 tracks, the international track, jazz, and Broadway. So they bring in these performers that are jazz performers, Broadway performers, and they're on stage and they weave in their personal story with songs. So for a Broadway track, it's, a Broadway performer that's been on some of the biggest Broadway plays in New York City, and they come into Indianapolis and they tell their story. They sing a song, and songs some of them we know, some of them we don't. And it's
just one person.
It's one person.
Performing.
They might have someone playing the piano with them, but it's a very small stage, very small crowd, and you're right there up front, and you are so completely immersed in the art form because they're just incredible at what they do, and that is happening in Indianapolis. I don't think not everyone knows that. Yeah. So.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Butler College, obviously being a grad of that program.
Butler nerd over here.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's wonderful. Well, maybe as we transition, this show, Talent Scout, is all about inspiring, people that are early in their career, 20s, 30s, just around things that you've done throughout your career that maybe have been, accelerators for you. So as you think back on kind of that first decade out of school, what's something maybe that you did that you're really grateful you did, and that has served you well, kind of as you reflect back from this vantage point?
Well, big believer in internships. I know that's during college, but I had 4, and that's what helped me identify what office setting I love, the people I like to be around, and the mission. But also, I think early on, finding your mentors. Like, who are the people that is going to be there for you to tell you the real answer that you need in the time when you can't ask questions, right? Ask the questions, find your mentors. I have to give a major shout out to Bob Schultz, who many of us in Indianapolis know Bob. He was just awarded the Indianapolis PR Legend Award. And, he spent time at ICBA or Visit Indy and downtown Indy and Borshoff. And now he's at Butler, which is like full circle for me. But Bob, when I interned at Visit Indy, just really took me under his wing and helped guide me along the way. I think he did that for, Chris Gall would probably sit and say Bob Schultz too as a big mentor. He's done that for so many people in this city, to the point that Bob was our wedding officiant.
That's special. Wow.
Yes. Find your mentors for sure. I'll also give a major shout out to the SKL, Stanley K. Lacey. I think we've done that program, and the ability to line up leaders in the city and hear from them and understand what we do really well as a city and what we need to work on, and maybe be in a room full of people that want to help and move Indy forward is really important. And again, having those very vulnerable, open dialogues. Yeah,
that's great. I need to ask you this. What's a new event or conference that's coming to Indy that has you really excited?
Okay, well, later this year, Indy is hosting what we would call the Super Bowl of conventions.
Okay.
And this is the American Society of Association Executives, ASAE. We live in a world of acronyms. And this is the big decision makers of major associations around the country that are going to come into Indy in August. And we are going to roll out the red carpet. These are people that have the ability to say, we need to bring our convention to Indy. And
we've never hosted this.
We've never hosted this. And many of these people have never considered Indy, have said, maybe not the fit, but this is our opportunity to prove them wrong, or, show them that we are an incredible host city and can host their convention. We always say, if you can host 350,000 people for the world's largest single-day sporting event, we can host your convention. So
true.
We will put together a major convention in August to win them over.
I love it. Well, let us know over at the festival if we can help with anything. All right, last couple questions here. What's your best piece of advice? You've already dropped a couple great ones, but for someone out there who's listening early in their career.
I think back on my early days in my career and just realizing, I didn't realize it at the moment, but it's almost like every day is a job interview. When you walk into your internship, that's a job interview. Not formally, but it is, because then when a position becomes open, you want to be top of mind, right? And if you've done everything you can possibly do, like you would say in an interview, then you're in prime position to get that job. And then also that's how you find who your mentors are going to be, because you are putting your best foot forward. And Indy is a city where we're so collaborative as a community that you never know who the person you're going to meet, 10 years ago, it's going to come full circle because of how Indy operates. And so it's always a job interview. Just be true to yourself and put your best foot forward.
That's so good. Yeah, we actually had the opportunity to promote an intern a month and a half ago at the 500. We have 12 interns every spring, and full-time person left, and it was sort of that, what's luck? It's when preparation meets opportunity, and that was really cool to be able to promote this young lady to full-time as she's finishing up college. So, all right, last question. I ask all my guests this question, Morgan. How do you define success?
Oh, goodness. I would define success as, I guess, one's ability to perpetuate the good, right? Find the good. And I think back to as I'm rising up in my career, who am I uplifting at the same time? Who am I bringing with me? And this is personally and professionally. So if you think about Visit Indy, I want my colleagues to succeed. I need them to succeed. We need to wrap our arms around each other, uplift each other, cheer each other on, find everyone's unique talents, because if that's the case, we all win. And really, it's not an I, it is a we. And so bringing people along, uplifting others as you rise up. But then I also think when you say perpetuate the good, to me, that is just every day in my life, in the people that are in my immediate four walls at my house at home. And it's like, how am I going to take this incredible opportunity as a mom to two young boys and like perpetuate their good? And like, I have this incredible opportunity to raise two wonderful humans and make sure they're good humans and they give back to society and they stand for something. And at the end of the day, they're happy, because if they're happy, then they're going to go on and perpetuate the good and bring happiness along for themselves and for others. And I think that at the end of the day, if I'm able to do that, then I will find success.
Yeah. Well said. Well, really appreciate you making the time to be on. The work you're doing at Visit Indy, and I get to a front row seat to it oftentimes, is so critical for just the momentum that, our region has and downtown has. And we've got our challenges, but you guys, I know, are out there every day just beating the drum of all the good that's happening here.
It's fun. It's a privilege.
Not just putting heads in beds, but bringing, leaders, people with influence to our city, which I remember Chris Gall telling me that years ago. How do you change the perception of a city? You need to get university presidents and commissioners of different sport leagues, to come and spend a few days and like, oh, wow, like this is a different city. And just grateful for all the work that you guys are doing. And I know we'll continue to be a partner in any way that we can. So thank you again for being on.
And congrats to your first 500 festival under your belt.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a great season. So,
well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely.